Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Raw Talk with Tanta Katie. I'm, as always, very happy that you guys could join me again today. I actually have just officially packed my bags. I'm getting ready to head to Frankfurt this evening, and then tomorrow I'm flying out to go home to the US, to Washington State. I haven't been there for 2.5 years to Washington State. I was in Denver, I believe, 2 years ago, but this will be my first time being home in a really long time. And let me just say, I need it. I'm really excited. I cannot wait to see everybody. And in Germany, there's a word, it's called Vorfreude, and it means the excitement that you have before you do something that you're really looking forward to. And I definitely have that right now. And I just have so much Vorfreude. So I'm just enjoying it. It's a good feeling. And yeah, I do have a very special topic for you guys today. Um, it's something I do believe every single one of us faces on a daily basis. Some are better, some are maybe a little bit worse, but I do believe it's something each and every one of us can value from. And it's a story. It's a story I'm going to be reading to you guys because originally there was, I think it's a folklore, folklore or something like that, where it's like a spiritual tale that's kind of been told. And I think it's really cool. It's something I think a lot about. And so I'm going to go ahead and read it to you guys. And it's called The Good Wolf and the Bad Wolf. An old man told his grandson, "My son, there is an endless battle that goes on inside all of us. It is between two wolves. One wolf is bad. He is anger, envy, regret, greed, arrogance, resentment, lies, superiority, and ego. The other is good. He is joy, peace, love, hope, serenity, humility, kindness, empathy, generosity, truth, compassion, and faith." The grandson thought about it and then asked his grandfather, "Which wolf will win?" The old man answered, "The one you feed." I love that story. I love that story so much because I can think of many times in my life where I have fed the bad wolf so much that it was literally obese, it was overweight, it was about to burst, it was not healthy anymore. And then the good wolf was so thin, it could have definitely used a hamburger and some french fries at that point. And, I do believe we all are definitely fighting battles within ourselves, each and every one of us. And the thing that I've realized is a lot of the battles that we are fighting in this moment have a lot to do with things that we have been through in the past, or maybe things that have been said to us. Maybe you were told, really bad things about yourself that obviously aren't true, but they definitely did something to make you continue to feed that bad wolf. And instead of feeding the bad wolf, you kept feeding the good, or instead of feeding the good wolf, you kept feeding the bad wolf. And I believe all of us are definitely, definitely, definitely guilty of this. One of the biggest things that I can share with you guys, and I'm still working on it. Like I said, I'm a work in progress. I've not mastered the good wolf, bad wolf at all, not mastered it in any way, shape, or form. However, I can definitely tell you guys, I have found ways to feed the good wolf and to get the bad wolf under control, if that makes sense. And one of the biggest things I can recommend to you guys is practicing gratitude. And it sounds probably very general. When you're thinking of practicing gratitude, you're thinking, huh? What are you, Oprah? Huh? What are you talking about? I know. So, what I'm talking about is if you can think, you know how you wake up in the morning and some mornings are a little bit better, some mornings are a little bit worse. If you have to go to work, if you have to maybe take care of your kids, or you just have a lot going on, and you wake up and the first thing you think of when you hear your alarm clock is, oh my goodness, oh, it's too early, and oh, I just want to sleep longer. And you look outside, maybe the weather isn't that great, and you're just like, oh, this is just so awful. Like, oh, I don't want to do this. And then I feel like that's kind of how the brain starts on this spiral. I feel like once you start feeding that, like, oh, it's a bad day, and then your brain goes to the next thing of, oh yeah, and I have this and this and this to do today, and oh gosh, and oh, why can't the weather just be nice? And then it just continues down that path. Well, one thing I've been practicing, like I said, I'm not a master, I'm not a guru, but I do believe in these tips, and I think they're simple enough that pretty much everybody can do, which is either when you wake up in the morning, or if you have a moment in your life where you're starting to feel really overwhelmed with the downward spiral that your brain is going on, you can just say 5 things you're grateful for. 5 things. That's it. And it doesn't have to be anything spectacular. For me personally, I pick really simple things that I'm grateful for. One of them is having a roof over my head, a bed to sleep in, food to eat, a warm shower, and clothes. You know, they change every time, but for me personally, I do keep it simple because those things do mean a lot to me. And especially, living in the big city, you do see a lot of people that are on the streets, and that does kind of make your heart go out to those people, because for me, having a over the head may not seem like a lot, but to some of the people out there on those streets, that could be life changing. It really could. So it is something for me personally to be grateful for. And what happens is when you start to name those things in your life that you're grateful for, there have been studies that have showed that the neurons in your brain actually change. So they actually change to where it's going to attract in your brain more positive things that you're going to think out throughout the day. And it's a work in progress. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'll be to the end of my days figuring this out, but I tell you, try it. Try it for a week and tell me if you guys like it. I do believe in that, because I actually heard this a while ago. Somebody said something really, really, really cool. Now, all of us in life, we have all these things that we want to accomplish, whether it's, having a car. Maybe some people want a Ferrari. Maybe some people want a yacht. Some people want a mansion. Or maybe some people just want a nice king size bed. I would love one of those. I really would actually love king size bed now that I think of it. With stairs to get on it. Ooh, and a nice mattress and some nice pillows. I actually really like that now that I think of it. Anyway, so somebody said something, and they said, if you can't be grateful for what you already have, how can you expect to be grateful when you get more? And I thought about it, and I was like, yep, that's true. How can you in your life expect to have and want all these things and think that once you have it, it's going to make you happy, if you can't even be grateful for the things that you do have? If you have a pot and a pan and you're grateful for it, there's so much worth in that. I don't know. I feel like there's so much worth in that. And isn't that what Tupac used to always say? He said, stop being grateful for what, or stop being ungrateful for what you don't have and being grateful for what you do have. And I really believe in that. I believe in being grateful for everything that you have, because I think a lot of times we also think having all these material things is going to make us happy. And if you talk to the biggest celebrities, Jim Carrey or even Kylie Jenner's gone out and said it, which is this happiness that they experience when they get something big, whether it's a house, a yacht, whatever it may be, the happiness that they get from that lasts 5 seconds. So, it's really not all about that, in my opinion. And remember on that movie with the Willy Wonka, where that girl turns into a what does she turn into, a grape? And it's that same thing of she wanted so much more. She just wasn't happy with the things that she had. She just wanted more and more and more, thinking it's going to make her happy. It just didn't. Same thing as with the cousin of Harry Potter. I forgot his name. Harry Potter fans, please don't hate me on that one. I'm a Harry Potter fan myself, but I forgot his name. I think it's Winsley or something. I don't know. Anyhow, but same thing. He had gotten all those gifts, and he was upset that he hadn't gotten 26 gifts. His father had gotten him 25 gifts or something like that, and he wanted 26. Anyway, I thought I'd throw that in there. And in regards to the good wolf and the bad wolf, I think that one thing that does help us to kind of feed that bad wolf is, let's say we have a situation where we feel really stressed out or we're under a lot of pressure, and maybe we lash out at somebody in a way we didn't wish that we did. And so what happens is then we start feeding the bad wolf. Oh, I'm a bad person. Oh, why did I do this again? Oh, why? And then that's how that spiral continues. And I remember I had a situation where I was also under a lot of stress. It was when I was waitressing at the time. And you have all these tables, they need their drinks. And a lot of the times, I know the tables don't understand this, and maybe if you're a customer and you go to a restaurant, you don't understand the stress that the waitresses have, because we're discussing with the kitchen staff, we're discussing with the bar to get our drinks. It's a lot just to make sure that you guys are happy. So anyways, I was at work and I'd had a situation with a girl there. I was like, I need my drinks. She was just like kind of on her phone type thing. And I'm like, I need my drinks. And then I remember she had kind of lashed out at me and said something really mean about my character. And I had been really upset about it, very upset. And I had started feeding the bad wolf. Oh, I'm this bad person. Well, why did I have to lash out like that? And then I remember I had gone afterwards to my therapist and I said, yeah, seems like I'm this, bad person. And she said, Katie, I need to tell you something. And I said, what? She goes, we are all complex human beings. None of us are just one thing. Nobody is just happy. Nobody is just sad. And she told me, think of yourself as a dice with 1,000 sides to it. You roll the dice one moment, maybe you feel at peace. You roll the dice the next moment, maybe you're angry. So I think that helped me get a lot of clarity to also realize that those moments that I have, they don't define me, but yeah, I have that bad wolf in me sometimes, and it's a matter of calming it down. If it acts up, it acts up, but not continuing to feed it. It's always going to be there, always, but I don't have to give it more food to make it bigger and bigger. And cuz I have been a person where I think all of us, not all of us, some are more, some are less, but I do sometimes have a tendency to worry, and they always say that 80% of the things that you worry about are not going to happen, and it really is. These are things that do definitely manifest in the body. I personally believe that. I don't know if that's science or just my belief, but I do believe it's important to not worry too much, because I think the body does take a lot of that on. I remember when I was 12 or 13. I think I was 13. And I remember I was at school and one of my friends was looking kind of towards the bottom of my throat and she had seen like a lump there and it was kind of like popping out. And she goes, "Katie, what is that?" And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" And she goes, "What is that?" And I go, "Oh," I looked at her, I go, "Oh, that's an Adam's apple. All of us have those." Because at that time, I had thought it was I thought I was growing an Adam's apple. I genuinely did. And I was like, and then I looked and she was like, "No, like only guys get Adam's apples, Katie. Look at us. We don't have them." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, seems like that's not an Adam's apple." So what it turned out to be was actually a tumor, and it had actually gotten to the size of a tennis ball. It had been removed, but there was some speculation that it was a worry tumor, because I had at that point in my life I had worried quite a bit. And so that's another thing to keep in mind, is try and keep those worries at bay. Try and feed the good wolf, try and calm yourself down a little bit. And here's another thing that can help. It's helped me a lot, and that's about reframing. Reframing your mindset. Reframing your mindset is life changing, completely life changing. Have you ever been in a situation where you go to work or you go to church or you go somewhere where you see the people that you normally see? Like, "Hey, June, hey, Joe, hey, John," right? And, you go to that particular place that you normally go to. And on that day, you realize they didn't say hello. The people that normally say hello to you, they didn't say hello, they ignored you. Or you're talking to somebody and they're being very short with you, very aggressive, and you're just like, "Okay, like what did I do?" Right? You're thinking, "What did I do? What's going on? What did I do?" And then again, you're feeding the bad wolf. When somebody doesn't say hello to you, you're feeding the bad wolf. So, I'm going to put you guys back in this situation. You're at the church, you're at the supermarket, wherever you are. Somebody doesn't say hello to you. Instead of thinking, "Oh, why didn't they say hello to me? Oh no, it's probably because of this and this." No, stop. Stop it. Instead of that, what you need to say is, "Oh, they didn't say hello to me because they have so much going on in their mind and they just didn't see me." Or something like that, to do a 180, to reframe it. Or if you're talking to somebody and they were short with you or a little bit aggressive, "Oh, why were they like that? Oh, maybe they're upset. What happened?" Da, da, da. No, they were okay. Here's what really happened. This is all fantasy, by the way. They had a really hard day. They missed their alarm. They got late to work. They missed the train, and then they called you with the 1 minute they had, and they had to go because they were just so stressed out. Boom, there you go. It's like I said, 80% of the things we worry about will never happen. And a lot of the times, the people, they're not really thinking about us as much as we think that they do. A lot of them just are out there living their lives. They have so much stuff going on, and they just got to keep it moving. They got to get groceries, they got to get gas, they got to pay their bills. So just stay in your lane and try your best not to worry, because that's also, a way that you're going to feed the bad wolf. We can't be feeding that bad wolf. No, 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 no. It's going to probably get fed a few times a day, let's be real, but let's try to switch it into a completely different thing. It's definitely the best advice I have for you. And as you guys already know, I do always try and include for you guys a story time in these little podcasts because I do think it's kind of fun and something that maybe you guys can relate to. So, regarding the good wolf, bad wolf, I have a story regarding my apprenticeship here in Germany. And for those of you who don't know, it's in German it is called an Ausbildung, but in English that translates to apprenticeship. And so you do one part of it is the practical part, which is was for me hotel management. So one part of it is really working in the hotel, whether that's on the reception, housekeeping, at the bar, whatever that is. And then the other part of that was in school, German school. And I remember being so nervous to start the school here. First things first, I was not the best student growing up in general. I really wasn't. I was the kid that kind of did get kicked out of class for throwing stuff at the teacher. I'm not proud of it. And for all of you guys that are listening, and maybe if you are younger, pay attention in school. Do not do what I did and get good grades because education is very important. And I will say that is one of my biggest regrets in my life is not taking my education more seriously. But back to the German school. So I was very nervous because, I didn't know how the school system here was. I knew how it was in the US, but I had never gone to German school. And the majority of the people who I was going to school with here, they were German. Not all of them, but the majority. So they knew what to expect, what was to come, this, that, and the other. And I had a lot to learn when it came to German school. So I was definitely closed off in the beginning. First things first, here in Germany is they have a system. So when you talk to people, you can either do, which is called dutzen. So you either on the do level, which is like a friendship, hey, how's it going? Or there's the Z, which is kind of in a weird way like bowing down to somebody, a doctor or a pilot. And one thing that was really kind of a culture shock for me was that here in Germany, you have to be very respectful to the teachers, almost like they're gods. And they really think they're gods. I mean, that was a huge culture shock for me. So I remember I'd gone to my first day of school here, and instead of using the term where you kind of bow down to the teacher, the Z term, I had dutzed them, and all the students kind of turned to look at me, and I was like, "Oh, what's going on? Like, what's the big deal?" And yeah, that was the first thing that was the culture shock. But so my thing is that when I was going into it, I was already having these prejudices because my time traveling and in general has been that many people don't always have the best view of Americans and everything like that. So I was going into this situation at the school thinking, oh, I'm going to get all these prejudices. They're going to think I'm a stupid American. They're going to think I don't know my geography and all of this. And actually, some of those things did happen. I had a teacher there who called me out in front of all the students, and she definitely picked the wrong person, I'll tell you that. But she was saying, oh, Americans have no idea when it comes to geography. I told her, point a country to the map on me. I'll tell you what country it is. She goes, oh, well, not you. I don't mean you. I mean the other, all other Americans. I go, well, I am American and I can point any country on the map to you. Just point and I will name it for you. So it did happen. However, it would have been unfair for me to think that all of the people were like that. So when I was first going into that situation, I was very closed off, feeding the bad wolf, feeding the bad wolf. Oh, they're going to think I'm this American feeding the bad wolf, feeding the bad wolf. And what happens when you do that is you lose out on so many opportunities, because even in those first weeks, they were asking me, do you want to go out for drinks? Do you want to go get a coffee? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? And I wasn't really giving any of them the time of day. And what happens is, from their perspective, is I'm not only in that moment feeding my bad wolf, they're feeding their bad wolf also towards me. And then what I'm thinking could happen comes true. So, for example, I'm going in feeding the bad wolf thinking, oh, they're going to think I'm, this arrogant American. And then they're thinking, oh, she doesn't want to go with us for a coffee. Oh, okay. This arrogant American, So it's crazy how that can actually happen when that wasn't my intentions at all. In the beginning, I was just very closed off and nervous. And it's also, if you see it from the other perspective with the reframe that I was telling you guys about, which is in those moments when I'm not going with them to do those things, they what they could do is reframe. Oh, maybe she's nervous, but maybe they're not reframing. They're just thinking, oh, she doesn't like us. But that's not the case. I do like them. I'm just nervous. I'm this, I'm that. And so I did end up giving the people in that class a chance, and it was a good experience for the most part. I did still have my fights and my discussions because, I did have at that time a politics teacher who wasn't exactly the nicest. And yeah, that wasn't always easy. But I feel like the majority of the time in life, it's better to open yourself up to people, because if you don't do that, then you're really missing out on the opportunities of meeting the good people. It's a weird way to, I'm going to give you guys a weird analogy here, a really weird analogy. But you guys know when you go fishing, or if you've seen it on TV where they're going like deep sea fishing and they have those huge nets. Huge. I mean, they're catching thousands of fish. Well, in order for them to catch the fish, you have to have the net open. So the net's open and they're going deep sea fishing. And in that time, what they're hoping for, at least on my quest, is they're hoping to get 5 sharks in that net. 5 really big sharks. But in order to do that, they've probably caught between 2 to 3,000 fish in there, which are all, in their opinion, duds. That's not what they wanted. They wanted the sharks. They got the sharks. They got the 5 to their 10 sharks in there. And that's the quality of the people that they were looking for. But in order to do that, you have to first be able to open yourself up. Definitely easier said than done. Some moments are not the right moments to be doing that, depending on the situation you're in, the environment you're in. If you're in an environment where that is possible, you should definitely do that if that's a healthy environment. However, if that is a toxic environment, I do not recommend doing that, because you're going to get a lot of jellyfish. You're going to get a lot of crazy fish that are just going to, they're just not going to be good. So that really is the beauty of it. I think in life, it's a tough thing to always know when is the right time to be vulnerable and when is the right time to maybe not. Maybe it's a more dangerous time, and that's the thing. Like I said, you're going to open up. Like I said, in the class, for example, I was in that classroom and I opened up finally. Wasn't feeding only the bad wolf. I started to feed the good wolf, to also reframe to, hey, maybe these people are not so bad after all. But if I wouldn't have done that, I wouldn't have met the good people. And I did meet really, really, really good people. Did I meet some bad people too? Yes, I did. But you can't have the good without the bad, unfortunately. So that is going to be the end of this podcast today. It's a little bit shorter than I expected, but that's all right. And I would really appreciate it if you guys would follow my podcast. I'm on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. I would also appreciate it if you guys could go ahead and give some comments. If there's any topics that you guys would really like me to do, anything that would be interesting to you guys, it's no problem for me. And if you do like this podcast, if it is something you do like, I would really appreciate you guys to rate it. That would mean a lot to me. And I wish you guys all a really nice day, no matter where you are. I hope you're enjoying yourself. And don't forget those two practical tips that I tried to teach you guys today, which is reframing. So, reframing, if somebody doesn't say hello to you, for example, then they're just have a lot going they just have a lot going on in their mind. They don't mean it bad. And so first one is reframing, and then try and practice that gratitude. Every day when you first wake up, name 5 things that you're grateful for, or if you find yourself going in a downward spiral, 5 things that you're grateful for to help kind of turn those neurons around. Try it even for a week. If it works for you guys, let me know in the comments if it did help you. And yeah, guys, until next time, take care. Bye.